Welcome to tonight's episode of Too Funny Feedback. My name is Tom, and co-hosting the show with me tonight, as always, is Lisa. Tonight, each of our comedians will be performing a 5-minute set. If you want to keep track of how much time is left in your set, I will have a clock behind me in just a moment. Or if you need, just send a private message to either me or Lisa if you need an audible cue. And then when you have 1 minute left in your set, we will go 1 minute, and then you will know that you're at 1 minute till your time. Lisa's feedback is going to focus on performance. My notes are going to focus on writing. We invite discussion during your allotted time, but if we don't have time to address your concerns, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, the District Comedy Facebook, or at the email address that you have been talking to me from so far. But to our audience, keep in mind that as we get started, our intention is to help facilitate the growth of these comedians who come with varying levels of experience. Also, comedy is subjective, so you may not agree with us, and that's okay. We are also learning how to give good feedback, but additionally, if you enjoy the show and want to support the stream, please consider making a donation of any size at districtcomedy.io, districtcomedy.io. But with that being said, let's get this party started. We have with us, back from so many months of the breaks from this mic, give it up for the one, the only John O'Keefe.
Hello, hi everybody. How are you? Good. Thanks. Oh, let me set my alarm thing. Hold on a second. Okay, I'll account for myself. It's been a while. I don't have any material. I'll just talk about something that I saw recently. My dad's driving, which causes me endless stress. Do you guys call it sat nav or GPS? What do you call it?
GPS.
Okay. So we call it sat nav. So just substitute sat nav for GPS. So he will put on the sat nav in the car, and then he will also put the sat nav on his phone because he likes to compare and get angry at the one that's wrong. So the phone sat nav sits between his balls. I swear this is true. It sits down between his balls, frying whatever's left. Can't be much. And he's looking down at the sat nav between his legs while trying to overtake oncoming traffic. And it is just a contest between him to see who wins. And he hates the sat nav in the car because it's an expensive car. And it's like the sat nav has done something personal to him. And he likes to prove it wrong by yelling at it for going the way he programmed it to go. And he's very vulgar in the car. He says things like, he's screaming, fucking bastard, sending me up there. And then he always says this, he goes, you fucking dying cunt of a thing. That's my dad's favorite thing to scream at technology. Dying cunt of it. So vulgar. It's no wonder he's got a bad heart. I mean, and he's the kindest, sweetest man in the world. He's beyond a saint, but he's a fucking maniac and he needs to be stopped. Like, there's bits of chicken and stuff coming out of his mouth and he coughs. Like, he turns beat. He's so aggravated at a situation he created on purpose. He doesn't want the peaceful journey. He needs to be angry to be content. He can't be happy unless he's unhappy. It's very important to him. Yeah. So let me see. What else? I think the real goal is to get the sat nav to take the same route as the phone sat nav. It's an endless game. And he's like, and he only. I think I've overdone the whole sat nav thing. Let's move on. Yeah, I was getting bored myself. Do you ever think that porn must really upset people at times? No, I'm not joking. All right, you guys all are wonderful people. I know you wouldn't waste your time watching. I watch porn occasionally because it's available, and I came across this video. And it really upset me. The title of the video was, "My boyfriend doesn't know I'm cheating on him with his best friend." And I was like, oh, some guy is just coming across that video, trying to release some tension, and then he's reminded of the greatest betrayal of his life. Perfect. And in a time frame when his whole life seems in order and everything. I guess porn just doesn't care about your feelings. I don't actually have much material, I realize. So I'm going to finish on this, maybe a little bit early, but I ran into someone this week who got really good looking over the pandemic. I mean, they were always good looking, but they really blossomed. And so I said to him, I said, "Oh wow, you look great," and then he just accepted it without any humility. Like, here's the deal: I say you look good, you deny it. And then I reiterate it with sincerity. Then you feel better, but then I feel better, which was the point all along. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
Woo! Give it up
Good
for John
job.
O'Keefe, everybody. Okay,
Nice.
okay. Lisa, I'm gonna jump into it first, if that's okay with you.
Sure, go right ahead.
I navigated the tech, I think, successfully, so I'm just gonna keep riding that momentum of success. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously glad to have you back, John.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Actually, let me see if I can. Yeah. Yeah, so it's great having you back. I thought it was really great that you did want to do such a deep dive into a topic like GPS. And I thought you already had a lot of really strong premises going for you, like the frying your nuts off and it feels like, even when your dad's on a road trip with himself, alone, he has two other people he's talking to at least. So that was really fun. And just maybe something about just the sheer amount of skill you have to have multitasking to be able to do that. But
yeah, that's funny.
I also thought you may want to explore if there's a way to phrase it in a way that isn't, cringy. But I thought there was something really fun if you wanted to switch the order around about kindest, sweetest man in the world, calling people cunts and stuff, maybe the contrast is there and then that will shock more laughs out of people. But I thought it was also a fine move. Normally people will say, commit to the joke no matter what. But that's not true. And people shouldn't do that. If you feel the vibe is going south, I think that what you did as far as cutting yourself off and being no, I'm done with GPS stuff, moving on. I thought that was fine. And, it was nice. Again, it's sometimes those little genuine moments will endear you to an audience more. The stuff you got into, I thought was really funny with the porn being upsetting. But available. I thought there might be something there as far as I would be watching Netflix, but that costs $19 a month and porn is free, something like that. And also just if you want to use the phrase specifically, trigger warnings with your porn. It felt like that's where you were going with that anyway. So if that's a phrase that helps sum it up in a really nice and concise way for you, then have at it. But yeah, and then the last bit about the lockdown glow up and just accepting a compliment. Yeah, I wasn't really confused by that because I just I'm always hearing compliments myself that I've just become desensitized to it. But no, I thought that was fun. And if you want to expand on it, I think that could be a longer bit in it. If you want to either bring up other scenarios where they're not living up to the ingrained humbleness that we're all supposed to have. But just some thoughts. Overall, a really good set. Your stuff's always strong, and it's great having you back. I'm going to switch it over to Lisa.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah. It's so good to have you back, John. So weird. I just can only see myself, so I'm talking to myself about you. This is.
I'll put John in there.
Thank you. Oh hi. So. First of all, I said it looked like you had a Snuggie on, which I really liked initially. Was that an Irish version of a Snuggie there, or was just a fleece? Okay. Do you guys know what that? You know what that is? That full body. Anyway.
A Snuggie.
Snuggie. I love that you. So you were sitting in this one. Usually, you used to stand and have a mic, before, standing and holding a handheld mic like you do. But I liked it. It changed the energy. I know. But I liked that you could use that even more so with your demonstrating your dad driving, that you could actually physically and be like, just a little bit. I'm not saying you have to fully act it out because it was a really great bit. I thought that was a lot of fun, but because you're sitting, that I think that you can take that moment because of the Zoom box and the control you have over it. You really could just, even if it's a simple move up and down of like how it's frying his balls and where it's sitting, whatever, you can sort of demonstrate that, and you can even be like, if you're in the car with him. So this gives you opportunities, especially since I know you normally are, I've seen you prior standing. So I find that like just taking that advantage of just even a posture change or sitting or standing, it's going to change your energy, and it's going to allow you to do small movements that will only like help land that joke. And I really, really enjoyed it. One thing, and maybe it's just because I'm lazy, the sat nav, I know you asked, which I love, but it kept, my brain had to take a second to be like sat nav versus GPS. And that's maybe my American lazy brain. So I don't know if you think about what audience you're talking to more, if it's primarily like Americans, then maybe you say GPS just so that it's like a half second where I'm like, he means GPS, but it can just take me a moment to actually process it and to translate it, even though it's I know you keep saying it, I'm just letting you know, like that's something, but it still was really great material. And it's funny because I did the same thing this weekend where I had my phone and I had two phone ones. I had Waze and Google Maps arguing. And I was like, it was like being in the car with my parents again. It was amazing. So it was funny that happened for you. I really liked, when you were done with your bit and you were like, no, I'm done, I'm switching. I thought that was you have a really great way of like just pivoting, like right turn, left turn. Hey, it could be like something of the GPS set. If we're taking a wrong turn, whatever, of just ending it and moving on. I love that because you are still always really present. And I appreciate that as a comedian, that you're always just like with us, even if it's like, as you say, the Zoom room can be challenging, but you're always present. And I really like that. So I like that you just were like, I'm done with that. Let's move. It works because you're present with us and you're honest. So we're sort of like in it with you. Porn, I love that you wrote porn just doesn't care about your feelings. That was great. You can even, I feel like, and Tom he touched on, there's a lot of material there. So I hear. But that you can have some fun with that. Think about like other ways that porn doesn't care about your feelings. You can do rule 3. You can, surprise that there are different ways. But yeah, I love the whole scenario and how you brought us through that. You're really good at taking one concept and really telling a story about it that has all the joke components in it. And I think that's a real strength of yours. And I love that. And I think that even when you're maybe, like, I don't want that, you're so charming that we're on the ride with you, that we go right with you, that you're, even if it's like a dramatic segue, it works. So it was really, really great. I loved your energy, and I was really nice to see you again. So thank you so much. That was so much fun.
For having me. Thanks for all your nice feedback. I appreciate it. Tom as well.
Woo, 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 woo. Give it up for John O'Keefe, everybody. One more time. Let me take a look at the set list again to also see who's up next. Oh my goodness. Everybody, give it up. She was the last one in the room, but she is first in our hearts. Give it up this week for the lovely, the fantastic Carmia. Woo, woo,
Woo!
Thanks. Good to be here. I've been struggling with some fatigue issues. I went to the doctor and he diagnosed me with children. I recently got to lay down in the middle of the day for 40 minutes. Thank you, MRI. Gonna ask for one for Mother's Day. If there were no noise, though, like, it would really cinch this as a spa experience. Why can't they make that thing quieter? It's 2021. We've got silencers on guns. Maybe you're not an anti-gun crowd. I'm not really sure. People are always messing with my name because Carmia isn't a name. It's really more of a lead into the question, excuse me, what? This is followed by other questions, and the answers to those are Carmia. I was born in Spain, and since I'm Jewish, my parents picked a Hebrew name that sounds Spanish so I could sneak through the next Inquisition. Wah, wah, wah. Fine. My name's really uncommon, even in Israel. This is an actual conversation I had there. Galmia? Don't you mean Galmiel? No, I mean what I said. Why would I get my own name wrong? So one thing that you should know about me is that I have 5 kids. Yes, really. Carmia is Hebrew for doesn't know when to stop. I'm a mom, but I'm not great at mom things like cleaning counters and compassion. This year, I celebrated my 14th anniversary.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Breastfeeding. Babies do peculiar things while nursing. Mine pulled out my hair and pinched the skin on my neck. Clearly didn't read the instruction manual on creating mother-child tender moments. One of my babies nursed on one side and grabbed the other side. Like, I'm all for double fisting, but ow. You might wonder if I hated it so much, why didn't I just use formula? Formula versus breast milk is complicated. I'll break it down for you. Lots of parents use formula, and everyone else loves their baby.
Huh.
I love Desiree's laugh. That is amazing. slow build. All right. So, let's talk about ticks, the bug. They climb to the top of a tall piece of grass and wait till someone comes by. Then they grab onto you with the hooks in their mouth. I'll demo. It reminds me how I got my college boyfriend. We weren't the best match. I liked movies and concerts, and he liked dumping me. We'll talk later about why that's so depressing and figure out a way to make it funnier. He got fired from his job at the library for stealing books from a library. Must have missed the memo. My kids have a lot of medical issues. All told, they've got epilepsy, eczema, asthma, cradle cap warts, Lyme disease, pet allergies, food allergies, a broken arm, bedwetting, an inner surgery, strep of the blood, and pneumonia. I've got t-shirts from hospital fundraiser 5Ks with breast milk stains on them. I don't even run, but I still wear the shirts. With leggings and kids, like the classy girl I am. Someone told me God doesn't give you more than you can handle. God doesn't give you more than you can handle. Yeah. God has me confused with the other Carmia. The one with no kids and an accountant, Ann Taylor, and a housekeeper. Why the hell does she have a housekeeper? She doesn't even have kids. She's out there living her best life. That Carmia. I hate her. Don't you mean Carmiel? Okay. That's it. Thank you so much. That's my time.
Woo! Give it up for Carmia, everybody. Also, stand by. I warned you all that there were going to be like some weird software things going on. So I'm going to try and be tricky, and I apologize in advance if it ruins the show. But we're going to try and see how this works out and stop spotlighting Carmia. And just have it. Okay, we're just going to do the 3 of us for now and then bring everybody back in later.
A little private room within a room. All right.
I mean, not really. I don't know. I have to get their feedback later if they can like still see and hear us. But I know our audience can. But anyway, I can jump into it first again.
Sure.
But yeah, I feel like when we have these like old school nights where it's you and me again, Lisa, we can just like keep it the Tom and
or Cash.
Lisa. Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks, Desiree. Desiree can see and hear us.
Oh, yay. Thank you. But yeah, so I thought it was a really strong set. And I think that you do a lot of things And it may be like a little bit of a performer note and a little bit of a writing. For me, I think of it as a writing note, but like you generally are always on your shit as far as like keeping stuff in your brand. Like you're doing the mom stuff, you're doing like the tick jokes, like everything. I just feel like it feels like part of a show. And even if like, because I know these are 5-minute sets, so sometimes we like cut stuff up to like make sure that the jokes we want to work on get into the set. But nonetheless, it felt like even if you have more bits on a certain topic, all those topics belong in the same show together. So the thank you MRI joke, my only idea for that is like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to ask for Mother's Day. I was wondering if maybe there's room there to play with the idea of like an acronym, like since you're asking for an MRI for Mother's Day, maybe MRI stands for like Mother's Rest Initiative or like something along those lines. That's not like the cleverest thing, but like that I'll leave to you. Sneak Through the Next Inquisition was already strong on its own, and actually I liked the following it up with and like anytime a comedian kind of like acknowledges or like feels like maybe their joke didn't land as well as it should, like if they can react to it and like make fun of themselves for it, like the way you did the wah wah wah, I think that's always a good move. Like either way you're getting the laugh out of them. So yeah, this came up actually in somebody else's set, I want to say last week, but it still just like gets me every time, like the audacity that some people have to like tell them how to pronounce their own name. And it was like still a funny bit, but for some reason now that's just like something that's at the forefront of my mind of like a personal pet peeve of mine. Like, fuck you. I thought a really strong joke in the set was clean encounters and compassion, and that's one where I'd really love you to like, if you can expand on that premise more. Like I think that like there are so many things we can make fun of the things that we are like, what is stereotypically like, what is a mom, that is just like ridiculous either in like high standards, or you can even go like historical with it, like, you know, I don't know, just like some really like old timey time, like medieval shit that is like the expectation of a mother, like not dead by like 20, but let me see. Formula and Everyone Else Loves Their Baby was also very funny. And then you followed it up with something that I also really like people to do, which is to acknowledge the audience. And like you took a couple moments in your set. The wah 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 was the first one, and then like talking about Desiree's laugh was the second one. And like I kind of like that it was sprinkled throughout and like forcing us to get present in the moment again. Only a couple more, I promise, and then we'll move on to Lisa. But
you're doing great.
Yay! Okay, great. I will let Lisa talk about this next one, but I will just say that I really liked the tick reenactment. And also just like, especially since the hosts of the show tonight are both library professionals.
Yes.
The library joke was great. I hope that people got it. Although my new library, I don't know, that could be an issue, stealing library books, but oh yeah, so you did the diseases joke again for your kids, and I still fucking love that joke, and it's great the way it is, and I want to not to like, it's already like a hard enough joke to execute anyway, just because you have to have like that breath control, but if you wanted to like add any more diseases to it, or even like, and again, this is the thing where it's like comedy doesn't have to be true. If you want to just like add a couple, even if they don't have it, or maybe just like switch a couple out. And I don't even want it to be like the punchline of that joke. I almost want it to be like a throwaway where like you don't even notice the joke unless you're really listening for it. But like just like in the middle there, insert one that's like just super ridiculous and doesn't make sense at all. Like
stinky shoes or whatever.
Yeah, like something like that. Like more inconspicuous, the more fun, I think. It's one of those weird things where like,
yeah,
it will be something that maybe isn't gonna get a laugh every time and won't be apparent, but like I also like just get a lot of joy in my set sometimes where I can like sneak things in. It's like, even if nobody gets this joke or nobody like notices that I threw this little aside in there, I know it's there, and that brings me joy. So I invite you to give yourself joy with your comedy, and thank you again for the wonderful set.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of great stuff. Tonight, I'm so glad you came tonight. It's from the last time I saw you, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Because I find that you have so much material to get in 5 minutes. Tonight just felt a little bit like you took a little bit more time that you took with the jokes, which I really enjoyed. I thought the piece was really nice. I will tell you, and I don't know if anyone else experienced this, your screen froze a few times. Like I could hear you, but your face froze a couple times. So I think that affects the pacing. Or like in the jokes were still great. I could still hear you, but obviously it wasn't matched up completely. It wasn't throughout the whole thing, but it was at moments where I was like, oh, and I'm like, oh, it's such a good joke, but I wish I saw the rest of the face. So I wish I saw her face. Yeah, comedy in the dark. No, but I loved from the beginning. I'm gonna go through nice MRI. I liked the dance. Like I feel like you added a lot of like authentic, like expressional moves that added to your set of like, and I feel like it was because you have such a strong writing. And you really know how to manipulate with the one moves here or there. You do a really good job of that. That tonight I feel like you did a little bit of like, it was a little bit looser in your body, if that makes sense. And that you really like let like things, I hadn't seen you do moves like that fully with that. I enjoyed that. So that when you do change it up and you do change the pace, like with that list, and you can add things like eating pennies or Fruit Loop up the nose. They can be things that you can, kids do, or eating paste, things like that. But can add to the list. But I even think that's where that list is great. But if you could take it up, I know this sounds maybe be harder, just a slight hair up, because then it will really like, whoa, here's the list, boom, boom, boom. It might, but it might not. Tonight it might have been about the streaming issue, but just a slight hair, and it's gonna like wake us up. And here's that list, and holy shit, I really like gonna ask for Mother's Day. I love that, and it felt like you'd thought about that already. Like, I'm going to ask that for Mother's Day. And that's good. Or you could even be like, oh, I'm going to ask that for Mother's Day. It can be a thought right then and there. So there's an option there. I love that you were very present tonight with the audience. Not that you aren't before, but tonight was a lot of interaction. Maybe you're not an anti-gun crowd. Like, oh yeah. Again, you're like, hey, you're not hearing the reaction that. But I thought I wrote down nice pacing, the nice inquisition. I really enjoyed. There was an ease to it tonight that was a little different. I feel like as you go that way, you can find where you tweak it. Does that make sense? Where you have that snap, 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 and then the ease of the flow. And that was evident in your body with a lot of things. The compassion, air quotes, love that. And I like the idea of having examples of like when I'm supposed to feel compassion for my kid and things. The grab move. I liked the what did it say? Nice moment. Oh, with a laugh. I love that you took in Desiree, and you're really present tonight, and I think that added a lot. The tick. You're like, let's talk about the tick, the bug, which I love that you specified, because there are characters. I loved that, but also the waiting. I loved that you're like, let me act this out. I think you'll wait a hair longer and go like, and then out. And you can be ridiculous as you want, and then get in that whole thing about your college boyfriend, like how you got college boyfriends a little bit faster, I would say, just so that we have that. But I thought that was really fun. I loved the library stuff. He missed a memo. He could also have missed the due date. I don't know. As a librarian would be. I don't know if there's a little too much on the nose about him missing the memo. Missed the due date or thing and that. But I thought that was really. I think you were also. Tom and I might be your best audience for that ever. But T-shirts. I love that you did the list and then you went into T-shirts. Because I know exactly what that is. It's sort of my world too, of knowing that mom. And I just love the specificity you have. And I think that's the specificity of language that you have always. Tonight, you had a lot of specificity in movement and ease. Does that make sense? And I really enjoyed that. So thank you. Thank you very much. Great job.
Woo! Give it up one more time for Carmia, everybody. Woo! All right. Let me exit out of this, and let's give it up for our next comedian. He's also been on the show before, and I like him every time he's on here too. Give it up for Rasheed Wesley Jr. Woo, 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 woo!
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
Hey.
It's been a minute. Quick update on my life. I have a PS5 fucking awesome right now. Just want to let y'all know. Nah, man. Big news. 3-year wedding anniversary.
Woo!
Oh yeah.
The song as they ringtone by now, fucking the game up. Like you could have picked anything. Like even like the Imperial March Wars, like anything. Like even Peanut Butter Jelly Time. But you on the OG iPhone ringtone.
Yeah.
You might as well just get a flip phone now.
Thank you.
Just throw it out. Man, I just had my 3-year anniversary. That's big news for me. But it's given me a lot of time to figure out who I am in my marriage, and I'm realizing I don't like it. I don't like them at all. I just don't. I've found out I am like in my marriage, I'm the one who brings up fights over old shit. That's who I am. Like the wife just chilling in the living room, she watching TV. I'm just in my dad chair, mean mugging the fuck out of her. She's like, what's with you? Why are you mad? Like, so we ain't gonna talk about Thanksgiving 2017? Like we just not gonna bring it up? Like we just not. Okay. I took you to mama house, my whole family there, and you serve us tuna in a casserole. I mean, like say that. Like that's all you. Like, so, no, it's crazy. Like my wife actually thought quarantine was going down. She thought it was gonna be fun. She thinks we're friends. It really. Yeah, I'm glad y'all laughed. Wife did not. She's crying and shit. She's like, we be friends. I'm like, because we don't do friends. When I fart, you don't fart back or nothing. You don't even give me a high five, good one. Like you don't never do none of that. That's gross. Or really, we're in church. Fuck out of here, lady. I don't need that from you. I don't need that negative. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's great though. Like the coolest thing though, I would have really more present in the first year with my beautiful daughter, and I'm actually I'm because she's having a harder time. She's gonna have a harder time in this world. She's biracial. Her mom is white. Her dad is black, so she doesn't have the full range of. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't have like black girl magic. She has black girl sleight of hand. You know, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's a simple street magic race. Like now I don't. Where'd it go? Oop. Behind your ear. Got it. Like little shit like that. Kind of jealous because both my parents are black, so I got full nigga magic powers. Shoot me, his body can't magically. That's the only trick.
Oh,
I'm ta-da. The cop's like, wow, he's amazing. Like so, it's funny. Like, I did that joke in a comedy club a couple weeks ago, and after the show, a white woman walked up to me and legit said it was offensive. And I'm just like, ma'am, are you real? I'm like, ma'am, do you realize we are in a time where people can't joke about our own trauma without white people getting offended for history? And I just,
Oh my God.
like, concept. This is not like how it always been. It wasn't made a joke about slave master got mad at her for it. You know what I mean? It's always like that. It wasn't like she walked in and was like, holy shit. And a master was like, hey, now, that is inappropriate. Okay. That is tolerant and we won't tolerate. Why can't you use jokes to uplift your community? Men want to aspire to more, except to read. We don't let you do that. We won't let. But I'm telling you, keep it up. You keep it up, okay? And you'll never work on this plantation again. Working guys pay, sir.
Whoa.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
all right, we're all on the side of equality. Like, clap if you're on the side of equality. You know what I mean? Just clap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. So if we're all on the side of equality, to me, being able to joke about my trauma and you telling that we're not on the same, like Martin Luther King's white friends tried to tell him what equality was. This is like, I have a dream. And they're like, yeah, fight for your dream. Fight for it. Like that black kid to the same. And he's like, and they're just like, hold up, wait a minute. Like, oh, hey now. I was thinking more of a you can't be doing that. I thought, why can't we more Meek Mill dream? You know what I'm rapping? Rhymes like this, times like this kind of thing. My bad, I couldn't see the class time, guys. Thank y'all so much.
Hey.
Woo-hoo! Give it up for Rashid, everybody. And you don't have to give it up for this, but introducing Tom's Awkward Transitions. Yay! Awesome. All right. Okay, cool. So, you know, I'm so glad. I feel like we have such a great room of comics tonight, honestly.
I couldn't see the clock from where I was.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right.
You didn't go that much over. Again, I think we were talking about before the show. Like, I don't think I've been enough like live mics, because like apparently like it's the most offensive thing in the world if you go like slightly over 1 minute. But nonetheless, let's jump into it. Oh yeah, so always a good choice if you can like acknowledge something weird that's going on, as far as like if somebody's cell phone goes off or whatever. If this specific situation comes up in the future, my only contribution is that I heard that and recognized it, that specific ringtone is called the marimba. So do with that what you will. Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that, by the way. That was me.
Lisa, come on.
It goes through my computer. Sorry. I didn't airplane it. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
You're
like
fine.
I said, he turned it into a great
He did.
moment.
Gold.
And yeah, I thought that you touched on a few different topics. Obviously, the phone thing was like a heat of the moment thing, but I liked all the like transitions between your topics. It felt like it was one cohesive story. Starting with the 3 years in, and I don't like her. And there were like so many different things about that bit that I liked. I liked the kind of like touching on the you know, passive aggressive nature we sometimes have towards our significant others, with like the I'm gonna think of this memory from like 5 years ago. Wow, I can't believe 2017 was 5 years ago. I think you have a fun structure in the casserole joke, in that I think that you can leave everything about the joke the same and just like play around with plugging different foods in for casserole, whether it's like casserole or meatloaf, or like just try like other white people foods, and like the more ridiculous the better. And like, you know, it's also like one of those things where like, not that it would come up too often unless it were like, I don't know, maybe I can like think of select private gigs, but like even if the dish is like something that you can like tailor for a private event at some point, like it's just good to have in your back pocket. But like, if not, just something fun to play with. There was also a nice meta moment in there with like the wife did not like that joke. Like anytime you can kind of like be aware of yourself, it does the same thing that some of Carmia's jokes did, as far as like bringing us the awareness and like taking us back into the moment. And oh my god, I love I loved the Black Girl Magic versus Sleight of Hand. I just thought that was so fucking clever. I don't have any notes for that joke. I'm not smart enough to write that joke in the first place. And it was just very good. And like, I don't know what that woman's problem was. I thought that the material that you had, like, I wasn't offended by it, but like, I think that it was a factor. Like, I wasn't offended by it because you were saying it and you are Black. I don't know what her problem was. I think that in general, like, the important thing is that, like, you know, we are conscious of, like, when we're speaking on issues, we're speaking from, like, you know, we're not speaking rather from, like, a position of, like, you know, criticizing an experience that we haven't been a part of. So I thought it was great. I thought that you also tied it in back with the magic stuff as far as like the body cam magically turns off, however dark it may be. And maybe I feel like, I don't know, there was like some uncomfortableness going on my part, but that was definitely more because of it was just really fucking dark. Which is I'm also about. Oh yeah, and I was gonna say like especially when you go into talking about the patron, the woman who came up to you after the show. I don't know if there's like, it just felt like she was like the final boss of cancel culture, or if you want to give her like a similar title or something, or like we're leveling up cancel culture, like something like that. I think could be fun to play with. But either way, I thought that it was a really great set. I'm glad that you were able to make the night, and I'm going to give it to Lisa.
Oh, it's a great set. I wrote down this word at the end of your set as Tom was talking because it made me think of this. It was cathartic. Your comedy is cathartic in the best way because you talk about trauma in this way of things, these subject matters that are really difficult to navigate, I think, in the waters you do, and because of who you are and the voice you have, that you navigate them so well in a way that makes us laugh at it, but like acknowledges the truth of the situation, which is what's brilliant. And I think that is a special gift. Like you do it, it's amazing, and so it's cathartic. So it like makes us talk about these and think about these really hard subject matters and things that are just out there that, you know, we're always trying not, you know, to be okay. I don't know if avoid at times, but that I love that your comedy just comes at it, and it comes at it with truth, but with smarts and compassion. So I think you tie that all up. So that's my little soapbox about that tonight. But let's get so I thank you for that. I do. Oh, sorry, I have a small child.
Hi, Lula.
All right, Lula. Thank you. I'm so sorry. She's usually not here. Great, Lula. And this is our break for small children. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Lula. Good night. Go, wait, go, Lula. Thank you. I'm sorry. She wasn't supposed to be up. All right. So you have a small child. That's my little girl. Very excited. Sorry. Woo, that never happened that way before. So I'm so sorry, Rashid. You've gotten to see me at my most professional moment in the life. But what I was going to say is that I loved the whole thing about going right into the marriage, and then you, I'm messing your stuff up all night. The phone rang and you just took it, and thank you. I should have a flip phone. I appreciate that you were able to be super present in a way. Like another time you incorporated the audience that I had not seen yet is give a clap if you're for equality. I love that. I felt like it was also something that transition that you probably do. I would assume you do in live gigs, that it translates well, and that it translates in the Zoom world too. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that was fantastic. So you have this great way of just like being present and bringing us in and making sure we're with you every moment of the way. I love when, you know what it made me think of when you were talking about you sitting in your chair and your wife, and you're like, we're not going to talk about Thanksgiving 2017. Those commercials where you turn into your parents, you know, those ones that we were talking about. I was like, oh man, yeah. But I love that you used the tuna casserole, because that is a super white person. Like I know it's a ridiculous dish that I actually like. So I love that. I think that you can use that. And I like the note that Tom gave if you want to make it super specific to whatever you're doing. I just thought you were awesome. I'm glad you thought she was funny. You know, she didn't think it was funny. There was all this wonderful stuff. We are in a church, but the Black Girl Magic sleight of hand, you have this great way of and you even did like a little bit of the movement, and you're great I love your setup. I love how it looks, because I feel like I'm in a club with you, kind of like we're in a small intimate gig, the way you've set it up, but also just the slight movement. It I don't think you have to go to the full thing. I like that it's a slight movement, and I see the whole scene play out with the ta-da and the self or the ear grab. It's just enough, and it really just adds that so much, because you're just so clever and wonderful at painting those scenarios. I want to say I did a moments with the restream stuff, and I guess Carmia has mentioned it too, that the restreaming pauses at times. I'm not sure. I know you were having difficulty before. But I'm really grateful for your humor. Like, I'm really grateful to hear your set. It makes me be able to laugh and acknowledge things that we don't all the time, and it creates a conversation. It creates a comedy conversation, at least in my head. So thank you for that. But I would say just keep going, staying present. You have a great way of just reading the room, and whatever comes your way, you grab it and you make it better and you toss it back. And I appreciate that in all levels. So thank you.
Oh,
all right.
Thank y'all, man. Thank you.
Thank you
for
coming.
Give it up one more time for Rashid Wesley, everybody. All right. Let's go ahead now. Gonna bring on our next comedian. As Lisa has said before, she is our Canadian ambassador here at District Comedy. Give it up for the hilarious, the wonderful Desiree Walsh. Woo, 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 woo.
Hi. Yep, that's right. I am Canadian. There's no joke there at this point. It's more of a humble brag. Not even. I just like saying it a lot. I also use a wheelchair. I think all of you know that. But just in case there's anybody here that doesn't, I didn't want you thinking I was doing like a very specific, edgy material as like an able-bodied white woman. I have noticed society treats the disabled different, and I have a hot take. No, it is my real life. And it was actually my birthday several weeks ago now. But I like this joke, so we're gonna do it. And one of the things I like to do on my birthday is think about what my parents were doing when they were my age. And so when my parents were my age, they had 2 kids, which isn't all that impressive because I'm a twin, so they got like a 2-for-1 deal. But they had 2 cars and like a house and 2 full-time jobs with benefits. And I am similar in that I also have a full-time job with benefits. It's not a comedian, don't worry. But yeah, I have a job with benefits. I don't have a house. I have something similar to a cardboard box underneath a highway overpass. And I don't have children, but I do have a Keurig coffee machine, which is more or less the same. As if anything ever happened to that Keurig, I would be devastated. Absolutely devastated. Also, not unlike meat children, that Keurig makes a lot of noise and is also very messy. And what else? God bless comedians who can do this high and drunk. I am slightly tired and I don't know how this is going to go. I am struggling. So the Keurig's like a meat child because it makes a lot of noise and is messy. Also, I find myself thinking about it outside of the home and hoping to God it has done 1 load of laundry, and not unlike a meat child, it has never done any laundry. Also, I am told, so I would say it's the same. I am told by all of my friends that have children and my parents said it is not the same, and they wish I would stop bringing the Keurig to the pool parties in the summertime. But who doesn't like a nice hot cup of coffee in 90-degree weather? Fahrenheit, because it's mostly Americans in this room. That's like 36 or 40 Celsius, I think is like 90 degrees. But anyways, who doesn't want a cup of coffee when it's really hot? Yeah. Recently, this weekend, was supposed to meet my sister's new boyfriend. He is a walkie. My sister is also disabled because God is a white lady with a sense of humor and a hot take. Callback. And they were going to take me to a comedy show and then drive me to a potluck after. And every time I go to a potluck, I usually pick something small that can fit in a purse because it's hard to carry food when you walk with your hands. But this time I was like, no, friends, I'm bringing a cake because I got a walkie coming with me. A cake and a case of pop because I'm going all out. And then he got sick. So I brought my Keurig because who doesn't like a cup of coffee? Honestly, who doesn't like a cup of coffee? Also, I'm tired of people bringing their fur babies to the mall and getting pictures with Santa. But when I take my Keurig in a Barbie sweater, I'm wasting Santa's time. Stop the discrimination. Thank you. I'm Desiree Walsh.
Give it up for Desiree, everybody. Ow, ow. Always a pleasure, always a pleasure. And here we go with long, awkward transitions again. Yay! We love it. Honestly, like, that's what we're here for most of the time. Is just to see how much I struggle. No, so, I mean, you know, I love your comedy. I feel lucky, like, these next few weeks and last week I get to actually like do some hosting again because I do miss the jokes. I miss your beautiful faces. There's a lot of stuff in your set that I have seen before. I still think it's as successful as it has been. The Canadian humble brag. I do think that, like, if you're going to do the extension of that joke of, like, you know, a Canadian humble brag, except not even anymore. Just give us a little something more as far as like why it's no longer a humble brag to be Canadian.
Okay, so throw back in that we're basically like neck and neck with you guys for COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't have to be a huge long thing, just like enough to, you know, justify that joke. No worries, Rashid, have a good one. But yeah, also the wheelchair and like the able-bodied woman with the hot take thing always gonna hit. When you brought it back later and then also called attention to it being a callback, again, like very meta, which is something that I always appreciate when I see in a comedian.
That was all
thank you, Lisa. I am awesome. Sorry, what?
That was all Becca from last time.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, it's unfortunate she's not here because I took a lot of her advice.
Yeah, you know,
she can't see me using it.
I also I still teched that show, but somehow forgot that she gave that note. But still, doing good with that. Also, another like somewhat meta moment where you're kind of making fun of yourself for like the, you know, my birthday, even though it was several weeks ago, but I'm still talking about it, and I'm also like relating to you hardcore on that note because I did the same thing. I had a joke about like I turned 28, so I'm not a twink anymore, I'm a twunk, and I told that joke until I turned 29, and then I just said I just turned 29. But like I think that you can do that again. I think it's one of those things where it's like comedy doesn't have to be 100% true. The joke still comes across. I think that yeah, you do a lot of good stuff with the what your parents were doing at your age, and maybe this is just my own like self as a disenfranchised millennial talking, but I feel like there's a lot more you could go into even before you get into the Keurig stuff. again, just assuming that you're as much a disappointment to your parents as I am to mine.
Oh, I am.
Okay, good. But no, let's jump into the Keurig stuff though, which I love that it's kind of like slowly taking over your set the way that the Uncrustables did. That brings me joy. Maybe we
Yeah.
can have like coffee and Uncrustables. That sounds like a delicious combination.
Yes.
What is up, Lisa? Okay, cool. But yeah, the Keurig as a child analogy, I think that you're already doing a lot with the noisy, the messy stuff. I kind of like how at first when you're doing the analogy, you keep it simple as far as like those two adjectives. And then later on, you do the more like storytelling like comparisons about like bringing your kid to the pool or bringing them onto Santa's lap. And like,
Yeah.
I also really love this time that like you brought it back around with your party joke when your sister's boyfriend wasn't able to come with you. Boom, we got that Keurig back in there. Like that was another good callback, even though you didn't acknowledge that it was a callback. And going back for a second, I also want to give a shout out for because I know that it's a joke that you have that is normally like something that stands on its own 2 feet, but I like the way you're using it now as kind of like if there's ever a moment where you lose your place in your set and you need to backtrack, I think that what you did with that joke, that's the perfect joke to be able to like give yourself some time to
Yeah.
think and like reset yourself. But yeah, otherwise, not too much. I like, again, making it specific for your audience with the Fahrenheit for Americans. I liked the potluck, carry food, like while walking on your hands. There may be room there if you want to add more imagery and like make a comparison, like I'm coming to your potluck like a contortionist or like the girl from The Ring or something.
Yeah.
Like there might be somewhere to play with that imagery, but yeah, overall I loved it. I love this new Keurig stuff, and take it away, Lisa.
I really don't have that much to add because I really just enjoyed the set, and I am gonna make a major thing. I've never seen you without a background place. This is your
Yeah,
first
yeah.
time of me
Really?
seeing. I've seen. I'm never on Too Funny Baby.
This is
Yeah.
OG Desiree for me.
I literally was like, it was funny. Your jokes were great and everything, but I was like, that's her. I've never seen the real world she lives in. I was very like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
This is my
It was
room.
very exciting to me, and I really enjoyed that, seeing that. And I think at points I may have just been like, oh wow, it's very into seeing your space. And so when you were joking about the whole I live in a cardboard box, I was like, no, she doesn't. I see it.
It's
Finally.
a very nice apartment. Yeah,
I
yeah.
see it all. But like you could always, make a joke, but I thought that was really funny. That I got to see that. That I will honestly say, like that the whole time I was like, oh my goodness, this is exciting to me. But I love that you just expounded on the stuff. Like you've kept everything fresh. Like I said, you stay present, you bring back, and the Keurig thing is hysterical. And I like what you've added with about the hot cup of coffee,
Yeah.
and making it basically about making the temperature like for you Americans, like sort of translating it for us. Because yeah, if you said 40 degrees Celsius, we'd be like, what? So
Yeah.
I can't do that math.
Well, also 90 degrees Celsius is like I'm melting.
Yeah, you're on the
so-
sun, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that because of my lazy American brain. But basically, I had fun. I sort of got to be really present tonight and enjoy it. And I enjoyed all the add-ins and the bringing back to the Keurig, and it always kills how you explain, how you're in a wheelchair and your sister and then the walkie. Like, I just think that you have these great ways of stating walkie, all these terms that for the last, oh my God, has been almost a year.
Terms walkie and meat child.
Meat child, yeah. All of these great phrases that you sort of, you keep fresh. It always,
Yeah.
like, I'm always laughing at it, even though I've heard it a bunch, which is to me a sign of a real like present comedian. And I guess that's my whole thing tonight. And I want to make sure that like I just acknowledge that. I feel like that's a lot of that. You guys have really, everyone here tonight, but is really fantastic on keeping in their own way, in their own like hanging out, having a cup of coffee or being in a Zoom room with you kind of way, stay present with us. So I appreciate that. And I feel like to me, I felt maybe part of that is that I got to see the present place you live in tonight. I don't know. I feel like I'm saying more about like, I was excited. But I thought that was it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I just had a fun ease tonight. So thank you for that.
Oh,
Sweet.
no problem.
All right,
That
give it
was
up one
good.
more time for Desiree. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad you had a good time too. Yeah, woo, 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 woo.
Oh,
Woo!
Just so our audience, if you're keeping track, we are down to our last comedian. Let's go ahead, do another one of them famous transitions. It's his first time on the show. Really excited to see what he's got to bring to the table. Sure is going to be great. Give it up for Brian Sargis. Woo, 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 woo.
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. I've been taking some time off to really focus on my obesity. It really helps to have all day to eat instead of just an occasional snack between the standard 6 meals. I owned my own business before I got into comedy. Being your own boss is great, except if your business is a complete failure. Then it's just a place. It's just a place to sober up. I'm having trouble with my timing. I apologize. Apparently, it's not a great idea to open up a beeper store during a pandemic in a mall. Okay, so for you youngins, a beeper is like an iPod that only gets text messages. And iPods are like cell phones that only have music. And cell phones are what we all are looking at most of the time. Eventually, I wrote my own leadership book. The title is "Please Don't Quit. I Don't Know What I'm Doing." And here are some of my leadership quotes that I put in my book with my corrections. There are not stupid questions, just stupid people. Anonymous. For those who do not know, Anonymous is a Greek philosopher that studied under Anonicus and Eleusicus. And what they totally were philosophers from ancient times, just like Plato and Einstein and Jupiter and Aristotle. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. Jack Welch. I'm not listening to some guy who invented a crappy version of jam, okay? It's some standard jelly. Dance like there's no one watching. Again, this was by Anonymous. Because there is no one watching you. They're looking at their phone. You don't lead by hitting people over the head. That's assault, not leadership. Dwight D. Eisenhower. I wish he had told me that a long time ago. That would have helped. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. John F. Kennedy. Unless you learn about your leaders, then you realize that leaders need to be dispensable. Being powerful is like being a lady. If you have to tell people you are or aren't, then you aren't. Do not ask anyone if they are a lady or if they have powers. That's unadvisable. Change if you have to. Jack Welch. Well, okay, you guys know what my feelings are about these like jelly makers and stuff. Death is the solution to all problems. No man, no problem. Joseph Stalin. Yes, and those were the good old days. Lots of murder. Trying is the first step towards failure. Homer of The Simpsons. And the last step in towards winning. Because remember, there's no I in win. When I'm going to an interview, the first thing I do is give them a safe word, like you would for like a BDS session. But I don't tell anyone what the safe word is. All right, I do. I use stop as the safe word. Ice cream for ice cream. I scream this a lot in my neighborhood, and the cops get caught a lot in my neighborhood, to tell you the truth. The first days after the weekend are the hardest. Anonymous. So is Sunday and Saturday. Am I good for time?
Yeah, you still have a minute left.
How do you tell? I'm old. Put some alcohol in your mouth to block the words from coming out. Ron Swanson. This totally works. And the best way to start is really important, like right before important speech. This works. So Sunday church, this is kind of like an advisement. Sunday church does not bring your own BYOB event. It isn't. This is, if you care about this event, you won't bring your own wine instead of beer, and you have to bring enough for everyone. Thank you. I'm Brian. That's my time.
Woo, 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 woo. Give it up for Brian, everybody. All right. Cool. And that's the last time tonight that I have to be a clock, so that's always fun. Okay, doing transitioning, getting y'all out of here. All right, Lisa's taking a moment anyway, but I've been starting off these things tonight anyway. I really liked how you started. I thought it was really strong. It's always a good idea, like when you are like testing the audience and like testing the waters and everything. Like if you start off kind of doing some of that self-deprecating humor like you did, I think that it will like, oh, have a good night, Carmia. It would, it kind of like, it lets their guard down a little bit. It kind of like shows you like making fun of yourself. It makes them more comfortable when you start like making fun of other topics. For the standard 6 meals a day, I don't know if you want to like throw a Hobbit reference in there, just because I know they have like all the meals in the Lord of the Rings series, but that would be like a good parallel, solid parallel. I liked the idea of like work just being a place to sober up, and I feel like if you wanted to like go into like more of a story, that would be like a good place to do it. Even if it's not a long story, just like a couple of tidbits of like ridiculous things you may have done the night before and then ended up at your work the next day. Which like also is kind of it's kind of a funny concept in itself. Like I'm like the idea of like I'm gonna get like so drunk and blacked out, but capitalism is just so ingrained in me that like the only thing I did as my blacked out self was took myself to work so that I could clock in on time the next day. Like I feel like there's something there. And then I actually liked what you did with like the cell phone bits. Like the pager is like an iPod, and iPod's like a cell phone, and then like the building on that. And I think you can kind of take that over explaining concept just like to the nth degree. Like don't stop at like telling us what a cell phone is, that we look at it all the time. Like keep on going, you know, cell phone is what you talk on. Talking is when you put the words together. Words, you know, when you put the different tiny characters next to each other. Like just see what that does, if anything, just as like a fun experiment. And then what a fun game with the leadership quotes. I thought that like you had some really funny leadership quotes in there. I think that if you want to like give it a little bit more preface, I think that it's almost like a leadership concept to have like your leadership book be all quotes, because it's like you delegating the writing of the book to all those various authors. And then that being said, I think that like you already have like a great list of like leadership quotes. I think I would say unless you're going to expand on one of them more into like more of a story or into a longer bit, maybe keep it at like 3, maybe 4 leadership quotes before moving on to like the next topic. And even like some of the premises like that you're going on in the quotes, like you can still broach those premises outside of that quote structure, if that makes sense. Like those premises will still work, but like for the structure of quotes, let's leave it at 3 to 4 and then like get to those premises some other way. And just as an example of that, like one of the quotes that I really liked from it was like the safe word at work being stop, which is like a solid joke in itself. But like that's also one I could see being expanded on, and like you could do a longer analogy of like how work is like a BDSM scene. Like I see a lot of parallels for myself anyway, but that's I think it from me. Lisa?
Yeah, no, Tom hit a lot of the things we'd say. As overall, and thank you for joining us tonight. I love that you were like, hey, taking the time to for my obesity. And I like that you sort of flipped that and started us off right then and there. Sort of, I liked that. And the standard 6 meals a day, that was fun. Like those little things that we're picking up, and you're just moving them about. I like that, and I like that you're and it took me to the end. I always mention point of view, like this little box, your point of view. And I felt like I got to, I don't know, you felt your energy very easily right away, which I really enjoyed. And I did like all the, explain the beeper. I like that whole, like, it was like a rule of 3 almost, and explaining it. This means this, and this means this, and this means this. And I think that taking that sort of structure and using it more when you're doing that list, those quotes, is going to help you figure out which ones you want to maybe, if you edit that down in the middle a little bit, because it was really, I enjoyed them. A lot of them were clever, but sometimes I lost the logic of them. They bled sometimes right into another, and it takes me a moment. So I want us to make them really clear and succinct on their own. And a way you do that is like use that example, you say it, and then you're adding on to it, but maybe doing a rule of 3 or something, or picking a few, like Tom said, and really focusing on those. And that way we get a bit more of a story with you, getting to know you a bit more, get your more personality through that. And also it creates specific like setup for you, where the joke is. Sometimes it's good stuff, but it can kind of lead into each other, if that makes sense, and following all of that at moments. So I would do that. And then I really did love when you were I feel like everyone was really present tonight and taking in the audience. I have to say my favorite part, I loved, I have a safe word in the interview, I think, and we've all touched on that. That was really funny. And using examples again of like how that would go, or where that would happen, and having fun, or, with that concept. But overall, I think that you have a fun energy, which comes across really well. And just taking the time to sort of find those moments. What's the pacing on this? Where do I, where's the structure of that joke? And that will, when you find those things, the pacing will come a little bit more naturally at times. But I really thank you for coming, and we really enjoyed that. And I say, just keep going through that and editing and finding the best feel for yourself. So thank you.
No, thank you. This was like super constructive. You guys are super nice.
Oh,
Can you
Yay.
guys next time roast me?
No, that's not our vibe. But I think that I
I'll eat
want to
roast
say
beef, maybe.
it's hard to say. I was about to like recommend a roast mic, but it's hard. I haven't been keeping up with like which of the virtual shows are still going on. But nonetheless, if you just come to TB&J and ask my co-host for that one, Brooks, really nice. I'm sure he'll roast you. He really likes getting angry.
Right
All
on.
right. Cool.
Thank you,
Brian.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
thank
try
you
to
so
get
much.
to the next one.
All right, cool. That being said, I am going to just take a moment real quick and take us out of here. Woo. Big thank you to my co-host Lisa and to the comedians for being so open to feedback, and of course to our awesome audience. We got as high as 3 tonight. What? That's right. But again, if you want to support the stream, you can do so at districtcomedy.io or just like share it with your friends. We can all have a good time together. And if you're a comedian watching this and you want to be on the show, you can sign up using that same link. See you next week and have a good night. Goodbye.